Hello, everybody. Welcome to Common Censored, where each week I am joined by Eleanor Goldfield. Common Censored is also a podcast. So thank you for being here. So we are going to get into that time that Eleanor faced off with a bear in the woods, like a wild bear, not like a zoo bear, not like you're up against the glass and you're like, I'm facing off with a bear.
Well, most zoo bears are not in the woods.
That's why I said this one's in the woods, not like a zoo bear that's not in the woods. Why are you correcting things that don't need correcting? We're going to get into that in a minute and what it has to do with her new documentary that has just come out. We're going to tell that whole story. However, we're going to start off with a little topical news. I'm not sure if No, Eleanor didn't just have a stroke. She just feels that way whenever we bring up this story, and we'll explain why in a second. I'm not sure if you heard, but I think he had some sort of position. I think he was the former president, maybe, of the United States. Donald Trump was arrested in Georgia, and everyone loves his mugshot, and it's so amazing. Blah blah blah. So our question to you guys, we'll be interested in your comments in the comment thread as well. But does this matter? And I gave 3 options on my poll at Lee Camp on Twitter. Does it matter? First option was yes. Oh my God, yes. Second was meh, kinda. Third was no, they're all corrupt. And
I'm digging the people that respond to your Twitter polls, Lee.
640 votes. You're digging 640 people. Exactly.
Well, no, whoever the 14.8% said yes, oh my God, yes, they're fucking
That's
wrong.
a good point.
So but the whatever 640 minus 14.8% is, which I'm never going to fucking do that math. So
the winner, for those of you listening to the podcast, the winner was no, they're all corrupt with 69%. Then second was meh, kinda, with 15.9%. And then lowest was yes, oh my God, yes, with 14.8%. And by the way, most of the people in my life, like family members, they'd fit into the yes, oh my God, yes category. So I know people like that. But let's discuss a little bit. Just we're not going to spend long on this. We generally don't spend long on dumb mainstream media stories, but this isn't fully dumb, in my opinion. Yes, he should be in prison, but my problem is that they should really all be in prison. And it's like presidents, like Trump, Biden, Obama, Clinton, Bush, etc., are massive murderers of millions. So the weakest ones might be hundreds of thousands, but really more millions of people they've murdered. Like that should be their crime, not the forging a couple of documents. But the reason that you end up arrested like Trump for the forging of documents and not for all the murders, because all the murder is how the American empire works. That's being a good president. So murdering, fine. Trying to steal an election is not fine if you go against the ruling elite. It's fine if you're with the ruling elite.
Because technically every election is stolen because we have the Electoral College. So that's just the end of that. Every election stolen because of black box voting and because of fractional voting and because of the Democratic primary, which is a fucking joke.
And money and gerrymandering.
Right. Yep. So every election is stolen anyway. Yeah. Why the fuck is it called gerrymandering?
It is actually named after a guy named Jerry, but who was a politician who I believe was the first to really fuck up a map.
The more you know.
But I don't know the guy's full name. That would be amazing right now if I were like, well, it's Jerry McAllister.
Is it
1802.
Mander?
No, it's based on salamander because the map that he gerrymandered looked like a salamander.
How do you know this?
I just happen to know it.
What the fuck? And this sounds weird enough that I almost want to be like, you're full of shit.
No, this is legit what it was. That part I know. I just don't know his full name. I'm sure someone in the comments can find it in about 3 seconds. But
salamander, get the fuck out of
here. Yeah, it was Jerry made a salamander out of the map, and so it became the gerrymander.
And that's what our political system. You know what? Okay.
See, and if we didn't live in modern times where everyone could just look up whether I'm right in about 3 seconds, I wouldn't. Otherwise, we could just say these things, and I'd be like, I am certainly right. But now I have to admit I don't know the guy's name, but the other stuff is true. I also don't know the year that happened.
That is really bananas. Okay, I'm sorry. Where were we? I'm just stuck on that.
Now you're stuck on the gerrymander.
stuck.
All right. You thought it had to do with someone named Jerry meandering. Is that it?
No, I just thought it was some fucked. I mean, language is bizarre anyway, so I didn't think it necessarily had to do with some guy's name.
Here it is. Leah's right. Governor Eldridge Gerry. Oh, Jerry.
Elbridge. So Elbridge was his first name.
Elbridge was
Jerry
his first name.
his last name.
Jerry was his last name. Gerry of Massachusetts, plus a salamander. Wait, does that mean they fornicated? What is the plus?
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was answering your question, so go ahead.
Yeah, you expect me to pick up where I left off? I don't know. Where I left off is ages away from
you were saying,
my focus is
I'm
now.
going to give you the setup. You were saying that our elections are rigged in a million ways. Go.
This is true.
All right. Eleanor has no opinion on Donald Trump being arrested.
Here's my opinion. That's my opinion. And
that
goes for Donald Trump.
Show your work. Show your work.
I fucking hated showing my work. You know that? So the whole thing is fucking dumb. For the reasons that Lee has already pointed out, that I pointed out, the whole thing is a lot of bread and circus, and people are into it. You know, people are texting their family members and being like, "Oh, I'm having drinks, watching this all go down." It's like, and that's lame. I'm sorry for you that you feel that that's an important thing to do with your time. Like, and it takes all of our focus away from shit that's important, like, oh, I don't know, people being burned alive in Hawaii, or the continued violent decline of the U.S. empire abroad. The fact that BRICS just added 6 more members, which will only hasten the decline of the U.S. empire. What the fuck does that mean for us? People going on strike or threatening to go on strike, like UAW. It's like, this shit is important. Donald Trump's stupid fucking face, accosting me as I scroll through Twitter and Instagram. It's not fucking important. Like, fine, if you hate him and you want him to go to jail, great. But that's not the issue here, because A, he likely won't serve time in jail, and B, he's not going to serve time in jail for the shit that's really egregious, which, as Lee pointed out, is the perpetuation of violence on behalf of U.S. empire. So it's like, is really the best that I can fucking say about this whole situation.
And I would also like to add, before we wrap up on this topic far quicker than anyone else, I would also like to add that we're also, and you know, I'll just say but I know it's both of us, are also not in the both right-wing side, and it's not even just right-wingers. It's some people that claim to be left-wing, but they think that just supporting Donald Trump is somehow very left-wing. I don't know what the fuck they are anyway, but we're not in that view either, that, oh, Donald Trump is the savior and he's being attacked by the real global powerhouse cabal, and he's trying to save us, but we just need to defend him. And it's like, fucking no to all of that. He is a corrupt con man. Joe Biden is a corrupt con man. Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and all of Obama, and they all fucking corrupt con men. And the idea that you should either spend all of your time very excited about this development and talking about how important it is and how we're finally stopping Donald Trump, or sit there going, we need to defend Donald Trump, he hasn't done anything wrong, and like, both of those are pathetic, both of them. And you won't really hear that take from enough people.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Because within all of this is really that the two-party system is one party. You get the same policies out of each party, with very few exceptions. And that's what this should be talked about. So it's not that I think that anybody who runs for president should be able to simply rig things and forge records so that they stay in office forever. It's not that I'm endorsing that. I'm just endorsing fucking fight for what matters.
Also, can I suggest a government secret?
Yeah.
The history of mugshots.
Interesting. Let me guess. It's the racist origins, as with most law enforcement in this
I
country.
mean, probably. I just
they were like, can we show that they're black without saying that they're black?
I just know that like traditionally mugshots have been used against people like Dr. King to make the civil rights movement look dangerous and violent. But I don't know actually like when the mugshot started being, disseminated publicly. So maybe something for government secrets.
Little research on the mugshot.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. I mean, I know that we're so obviously in the old, people love to show the Old West. They had the like bills that they would nail up on posts and stuff.
But that was like some dude drawing a picture and usually made them look scarier than they did in real life.
It was like hand drawn, but also it was, I imagine that part of the reason for the picture was that people weren't good with the readings. And so it was like, oh, I seen that guy around town. Whereas if you just put arrest this man.
Well, the picture, it was required to also point out who this man is. So even if you can read, it's tricky if you just say this man.
Yeah. Seinfeld used to have a whole bit on mugshots, the most wanted posters in the post office. And he's like, we're standing there. Unless he's the guy in front of us in line, there's not much more that I can do.
Didn't you know, they don't put missing kids on milk cartons anymore either.
I don't think they have milk cartons anymore. Oh, maybe they do.
There are milk cartons I have upstairs. No, there's just a cow on it. So unless that cow is missing, I don't really see
the history. Sorry, we're getting way off here. But I remember hearing something about the history of the missing kid on the milk carton.
Really?
Which is a fascinating history that I don't remember much of. So,
but it was fascinating. So that's cool. People can research that because it will be fascinating.
Yeah. Now we have the. I mean, it was kind of depressing. You're like, I just want to have cereal, and it was like this kid is being fucking. Their corpse is being
right. And then as a kid, you're like, is this what happens to kids? Like, oh Jesus.
Okay, so yes, people are asking for me to get to the fucking bear. Can you get to the bear, please? All right. So Eleanor is a new film called To the Trees, and it is about deforestation. It's about the attempts to fight against deforestation, and it's an amazing film. And while she was out getting footage and joining the tree sitters to learn about their experience and everything else, something interesting happened.
Yeah, so part of what forest defenders do a lot of times is that they do recon in order to find if there's destruction happening, clear cuts happening that they weren't aware of, or if new, like what companies will do is they'll put up tape like that says timber harvest plan, or different colors to mark that this is where they're going to cut. And they don't do it for the sake of the tree sitters, obviously. They do it for the sake of each other, but tree sitters see it. And that's why you do recon, so that you can try to defend those areas if and when you see that tape go up. So I was walking along with one of the forest defenders doing some recon. And a lot of these areas, so there are quote unquote roads that are created by these massive pieces of equipment. But other than that, you're like out in the middle of fucking nowhere. And so there's not these nice little paths that you see at like your local parks and shit, right? You're getting bushwhacked, and I'm like trying to hold my camera and like all this weird shit. So it's not terribly easy to maneuver. And so the person in front of me, the forest defender, is far more light on their feet than I am. They're like a little wood sprite, just kind of like bounding along. And and they're talking to me about black bears and how black bears are common in this part of northern California. And incidentally, the brown bear that's on the flag of the state of California is extinct. So that's pretty apt. But
that says a lot about us.
Yeah, right.
We're like, this is the flag of who we are. Unfortunately, we killed the thing on the flag.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're talking to me about black bears, and I'm listening, but I'm also noticing that there's some shit on the ground, and I'm stepping over it.
Literal shit.
Literal shit. And quite large shit too, you know, like not like rabbit shit or deer shit, which I recognize.
Excuse me, trail guide. Do you notice the size of this shit?
So then I look up, and as if this bear had really good comedic timing, by the way, because just as I look up, I see a black bear, and it's standing on all fours, but it's still fucking huge, you know, like it doesn't have to be the grizzly up on its hind legs for you to be like, oh fuck.
No, even a normal sized bear is fucking massive.
Yes, it's massive. It's on all fours, and it seems perplexed as to why we're there, which in that moment, so was I. And
you mean perplexed as to why you were in a bear's territory?
Yeah. And so the forest vendor had just finished talking to me about how typically black bears don't attack. That's not really their shtick. They'll usually run away. But in that moment, the bear doesn't run away. And I'm thinking, well, typically they're scared of people. Doesn't do me a shit bit of good if I get eaten by a bear. So the person in front of me,
at that point, you're like, not typical, not typical, not typical.
Right. And also, like, what is that what it's gonna say on my gravestone? Yeah. Eaten by a bear, not typical.
Not
by
typical.
The way.
She was untypically eaten by this bear.
Yeah. So
it was a surprise eating, as most eating of people is to the person. Generally surprised.
And to the bear. I do, you know, the bear seemed curious as to what the fuck we were doing there, was not expecting us. We dropped in, basically, unannounced.
He was reading a newspaper and was like, what the fuck?
So luckily there were no cubs around, which I think this would have turned out quite differently had there been cubs.
Yeah.
And so the forest defender who's up ahead says, like, okay, let's just very slowly back up and like don't make sudden. And I was like, okay, this is the movie that I'm in right now. Don't make sudden movements. Don't startle the bear, because you already startled the bear. Don't re-startle the bear. And
don't re-startle the bear.
So we slowly start to back up. And then at one point, which felt like 4 years, and the whole time the bear is like just staring at us. And I don't know enough about bear facial features to know whether it was upset or just still perplexed, thought this was funny. I don't know. But at one point, the forest defender starts running. Apparently when they felt that it was far, like that they were safe enough. And so, you know, the saying, you don't have to be the fastest, you just have to be faster than the slowest. I was the slowest in that situation.
Your good friend who just a moment ago had been telling you how to deal with a bear was like, also my plan is to run faster than you. I forgot to add that little piece. Right. I think I'm faster than you.
And at the time, I was also 3 months pregnant. So not like at my fastest. I'm also not a fast runner in general, by the way, but I'm even slower when I'm growing a human. And so I was like, I was like, I'm pregnant. And so I just like take off running after.
Were you yelling that to the woman or to the bear?
All of them.
Listen, bear.
To the bear, to the forest defender, to the little fucking wood critters elsewhere. I was like, just everybody listen up. And so then they slow down, but I was like, oh my God, the last thing I see is going to be this forest defender running away as I'm eaten by this bear. But luckily, you might have noticed.
You might have noticed, not eaten.
I was not eaten by a bear.
And if she was eaten by the bear, looking great.
Thank you. Yeah. But I ran till I was like in Reno. Like I just kept fucking running way longer than I needed to. Like I passed the forest defender and I kept running and they were like, you can stop. And I was like, nope. I kept running.
I'll see you in Tijuana.
Yeah. I was in a different state by the time I stopped running. So yeah, that was during the making of this film.
So that was part of the making of the film. Do you want to tell about your experience climbing a redwood?
So if folks have not seen redwoods, they are absolutely gorgeous trees and they're massive. Like there's the famous one is the one that you can like drive your car through, but there are trees that are just even like the smaller ones that you need like 4 people to wrap your arms around.
Yeah. Unbelievably huge.
And so fucking beautiful. And so I had wanted to do this for a while, but I just hadn't gotten the chance because when I show up to these places, I'm usually either doing media or ground support or both. And so I don't really get a chance to climb. But this forest camp was quiet enough at the time that they had time to show me how to climb, and like tie the knots, which of course I remember nothing of, unfortunately. But so I set out to climb this tree. And let me preface this by saying it's kind of like ice skating, where you see other people who are good at it do it, and you're like, oh, I can totally do that. That looks great. That looks like so much fun. So these people are like scurrying up fucking trees.
Nimble, flying up the trees, yeah.
And as soon as I start going, I'm like, is there like another pulley system that's supposed to like help me along?
Does someone come along and drag me up, or?
Because I do this by myself. I see. Okay. It took me 45 minutes. The tree was like 200 feet tall. So it's not like, the little peach tree you have in your backyard. Okay. So it was a legit fucking large redwood.
Also, we should add, not a real lover of heights.
But I didn't realize how much of a not lover of heights I am till I was up on the platform 200 fucking feet in the air. And then I was like, well, this is a hell of a place to confirm my distaste for heights. And then I saw somebody in the chat wrote, up is easier than down. Not on the muscles, but on the mind, absolutely. Because I was sore for days in places I didn't know I had muscles. And yet when I look down and then the forest defender's up on the platform with me, which they sleep up there. Yes, they're hooked up into
they take dumps
fucking
up there.
Sleep up there. Yes, but that's not as scary because when you're asleep, I don't get. So the forest defender's up there and they're like, so you just step off. And I'm like, step off. Step off. Okay.
You got to really trust that line.
Well, and they had like double checked it, and there are all these like, that you go through a long checklist, and it's very, it's safe and all of that shit. But in my head, I'm like, Eleanor, if you step off this platform, you're done.
You will die.
You will die. And so it took me like 15 minutes, and you get to like the forest defender was getting like a little annoyed because I just would not fucking leave. And they're like, okay, all right, we're done here. Thank you for climbing up and staying on my platform. Like,
I have to take a dump and you're in my living room.
But yeah, I did make it down, and then I was like, okay, so Eleanor is ground support from here on out. I'm not.
Turns out I'm ground support. Just found out.
Turns out, yeah. So
so all of that is a little behind the scenes of this latest, and it is excellent. And I think you will all find it both informative, but also powerful, and something you can share with people about the trees, the forests that we need to be defending. And that's at tothetreesfilm.com. Also, Eleanor's last film, Hard Road of Hope, won all kinds of awards, was in all kinds of festivals. So she is now an accomplished documentary filmmaker. Last time, just fucking winging a prayer. But this one...
A wing and a bear.
Oh. Wow. Did you have to end all this?
Oh. Don't be jealous.
Jesus.
Don't be jealous.
So, tothetreesfilm.com. That's tothetreesfilm.com, not the number 2.
Why would you just spell the first word?
Because that's the only one that's confusing. Do you think they need me to spell the?
No, but
all right, everybody, it's THE.
To the trees. Why would you think it's 2W?
I don't know. There's all kinds of numbers and shit these days. What the kids are doing with the spelling is weird.
Anyway.
tothetreesfilm.com. Don't forget the word film, which is spelled FILM. And anyway, check it out. You can also check out the trailer there as well. All right, shall we keep it moving?
I don't know where we're going, but yeah.
But just join me. I don't know where we're going either. Let's see. What would you like to do next?
Yeah, no, let's not do that one because I realized I don't want to. We can do this one. Speaking of trees.
All right, yeah, let's go to a forest defender story.
So this is a story folks might recall. It's been not a couple, a few years that folks have been defending old growth forests in Canada. The Fairy Creek blockade, as it's known, on Vancouver Island. And just some quick, nomenclature here. Old growth means that it has never previously been logged. So some people say virgin forests, but as the forest defender in my documentary says, we don't like that term. Yeah, because it's fucking creepy and patriarchal. So old growth forests means.
Also, who cares who's a virgin? Like, folks, have sex, have fun, doesn't matter.
So why would you want a virgin?
I view myself as chaste.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I attach no meaning to the number of sexual experiences.
I'll chase you.
The puns are coming out today, folks.
Okay, you know what? You step into these spaces and then you throw me a softball and then get mad when I hit out of the park.
This is a safe space, but not for puns.
Well, they're coming at you, friend. I don't know what to tell you. So old growth means it's never been logged. You might not be surprised to know that there's really not a whole fucking lot of old growth forest left in Canada and the US because colonialism and capitalism.
You're saying we just chop shit down willy-nilly? We didn't care about the future of the environments and the planets and things?
The environments. Only 2% of the old growth redwoods in the United States are left. And that's after only like 150 years of industrial logging. That's
2%.
Wild. So Fairy Creek blockade is it's not redwood forests. It's up in the Fairy Creek watershed on Vancouver Island, as I mentioned. And there has been an ongoing fight to protect this old growth forest since, I'd say, at least 2021. And now the fight continues, and there has been a new development. Canadian police have arrested forest defenders as the crackdown on Fairy Creek resumes. And this is, there are 140 court cases against anti-logging protesters that were recently dropped by British Columbia authorities. That's in Canada. As it was found that police did not properly read or explain the court injunction to them. So because of some procedural snafus, the court cases against a lot of forest defenders have been dropped. So it's not surprising then that there is a re-upping, a new push against forest defenders. Be like, okay, well, we'll get them this time. We'll read all of our goddamn paperwork and make sure that they get what's coming to them. So there is a continued call to ask people to help defend the Fairy Creek watershed and the old growth forest there. At least 3 of these forest defenders were arrested this past week. So yeah. So you can check out, there's Fairy Creek Blockade. You can check it out on Instagram and other social media sites. And I get that a lot of people can't make it to Vancouver Island, even though it's beautiful. But there are other ways to support. And as the person in my film says, you can defend whatever your home place is in whatever way you need. So.
And also, Robin in the chat makes a good point that Stop Cop City is being built on one of the last urban forests in that area.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
So there is some more news on those who are fighting deforestation, which is obviously incredibly important.
Yes.
Let's see what to go to next.
Well,
do you want to do the Maui update?
Sure. This is fucking dark.
It is fucking dark, but it is really important.
So. Yes. So we've already talked about the Maui fires in terms of the causes, colonialism and capitalism and the like. But there's new reporting actually from the Associated Press that not only did residents of Lahaina, which is a town in the upper the upper island, I guess it's called, or it's all part of the same island, but it's the upper part, the northwestern part. Lahaina is in the northwestern part of Maui. And so there's new evidence, an AP report that says that the residents of Lahaina had no warning as to the extreme fires and no way out, as officials blocked the only exit, and only those who basically said, fuck your blockade, survived.
Which also is a good example of why you should never listen to anything that authority figures say.
So the first line here says, as flames tore through a West Maui neighborhood, car after car of fleeing residents headed for the only paved road out of town in a desperate race for safety, and car after car was turned back toward the rapidly spreading wildfire by a barricade blocking access to Highway 30.
This was the only fucking road.
Yeah. And so basically the play-by-play here is that on August 8th, as early as 6:30 a.m., some residents were saying that they were downed power lines. Thank you. That there were downed power lines that were igniting grass and other vegetation. So small brush fires not being uncommon in the area. Obviously, the fire department responded, but declared certain ones 100% contained by later in the morning, like around 10 a.m. So this assurance from the fire department caused many residents, understandably, to be like, all right, we're good. There were very high winds in the area that day, and that prompted the closure of some public schools for the day, meaning that many of Lahaina's 3,000 public school students were home alone while their parents were at work. And that's also an important thing to note, because many of the people who summarily died because they couldn't get out were children. So at the same time, Maui County's fire crews worked to extinguish another fire on the eastern half of the island. Remember, we're talking about the northwestern part of the island. At the same time, the wind continued to topple over power poles and scattered embers, quote, like seeds. And with the assumed effects of spreading the fires. So at around 3 p.m., the power across the area was completely knocked out, and the Hawaiian Electric sent a release asking Maui residents to prepare for extended outages, and said that more than 30 poles were down in West Maui, including along the highway at the south end of Lahaina. Then the fire department closed the Lahaina bypass because of the fire, and those closures blocked the only route out of Lahaina to the south. And so there are some residents that are describing how they're trying to scramble to get out now that it is a proper fucking disaster emergency, which, again, they were not warned about. And this one man, Mike Chiquino, says to his left, he sees 2 police cars blocking the road, one across the lane of traffic and another one just starting to pull away. He ignores the roadblock and drives around the police cars to head south. And he says, I remember thinking that there's something dangerous ahead, but then I saw other cars driving, so I just went that way too. And a good thing, because he might be fucking dead if he didn't.
Right.
And so the police were blocking roads, the exit roads out, he said. And I'm assuming it's because there's been some downed power lines or something. And then the police chief later commented that we did not close or forbid people from getting out. If there was a downed power line, we wanted to make sure that you didn't go over it. Well, then put up a fucking sign.
Yeah.
You don't just block the road, making people think that they can't get out that fucking way. If you see police cars blocking a road, your initial reaction isn't fuck them. Your initial reaction is probably, I mean, it might be, that would probably be mine, but like, it would probably be, oh, I guess they're blocking something because it's dangerous, just like that guy said.
Because you can't get through, yeah.
And so why would people assume to just go around a fucking police car?
Well, and so this is kind of like everything wrong. This is incompetence. This is authority figures making stupid decisions. This is stupid decisions in a variety of ways, choosing not to sound the alarm because that might scare people in the wrong way. It's normally meant for tsunamis. We can't use it for fires. It's just poor decision making, like all the way through. But then on top of that, of course, you have the underlying, basis of these ongoing catastrophes, which is climate crisis and these emergencies that areas are not prepared for. And then you have the resulting aftermath of the shock doctrine, where all the rich, whether it be real estate firms or whatever else, go running in to try and exploit the situation. This has all of the worst of everything of our system.
So as this continues, this is so fucked. So this one family at 3:40 p.m., their 9 and 10-year-old sons who are home from school say they can smell s'mores. And by the time that they look outside, part of their subdivision is already on fire. No fucking warning. They obviously rush to get in their car and start driving away. And they find that the way out of town is blocked by cones and a crew working on downed electrical poles, and the workers motion for everyone to turn back toward Lahaina, which is on fucking fire. So you've got cops blocking roads, you've got workers working on downed power lines, which I mean, no, I'm not trying to talk shit about the workers, but you're working on downed power lines in the middle of a wildfire, like maybe escape. I don't know. So those people tell those crews tell the residents to turn back to your houses that are now on fire. And these people telling the Associated Press about this said that they found little meandering ways to get out and do it that way. But they noticed that there was a hell of a gridlock to get out of town. So they had to go, some people have like all-wheel drive vehicles and things like that. So they're driving up on fucking mountain roads and shit like that. And one woman says, the gridlock would have left us there when the firestorm came. I would have had to tell my children to jump into the ocean as well and be boiled alive by the flames, or we would have just died from smoke inhalation and roasted sitting in the car. So at 5:20, Maui County shares an update on Facebook. We don't need to do that story.
I'm not doing it.
Shares an update on Facebook. I just want to reiterate that because most of the time in emergency situations, I don't check Facebook. I'm not typically scrolling through.
I'm usually surfing Instagram when the shit goes down.
They say then, by that point, the Maui County says, oh, the road south out of Lahaina has been cleared and is open for traffic, the county says. But by then, as the Associated Press reports, some have already died, according to survivor accounts. Others, including this one person that they've interviewed, have jumped over the sea, debris and breathing overheated black smoke. And this is where this whole thing is just a private ambulance company. Now, remember, you're on a fucking island, okay? You're on an island. Let's keep that in mind.
Just the term private ambulance company.
A private ambulance company calls the U.S. Coast Guard at about 5:45 p.m. asking for help because the fire is blocking road access. It is the Coast Guard's first notification of the fire at 5:45 p.m. when the first report of a fire came at 6:30 a.m. The Coast Guard was not made aware of this until they were made aware by a private ambulance company, not government officials.
About 12 hours later.
And then the Coast Guard goes on. Again, they were asked to help transport people on land by this private ambulance company. Then the Coast Guard notices, holy shit, there's a lot of people treading water in the ocean that look like they could use some help. I wonder why no officials let us know. They rescued nearly 40 people from the shore and pulled 17 people from the water. And the rescue efforts continue into the early morning hours. And again, they were never contacted by the government to be like, hey, you guys do like rescue and shit. There's a lot of people that could use that right now.
There's like loads of people in the water. Could you help with that?
So this one guy who says that his kid can now rattle off, which is horrifying. His kid can now rattle off a bunch of friends that have died. And he points out we just needed like 10 minutes and we could have saved a lot of kids.
Okay. Well, I'll keep going here with I mean, in a moment we'll move on to another story, but yeah, like I was saying, this is just an amazing amount of negligence, but on top of that, and incompetence, but on top of that, it's like this is what climate crisis looks like, and we need to get better as communities of prepping for this kind of shit. Now, that's not going to solve everything. So those people who say, "Oh, well, if we just get better at dealing with fires, then climate crisis is fine." It's like, no, it's not going to solve everything, but it will certainly help save a lot of lives if societies and cities and states are prepped for all of these things that could happen. They had apparently known of the fire risk in this area for multiple years. They knew of the drought situation. They knew, now maybe they didn't know it would go up at quite that speed or whatever, but they knew this was something they should prep for, and they didn't do it. And this is a lot of areas that need to start prepping for things like fires and hurricanes and stuff like that. I'm sorry. It is a rough story.
You know what? Funny in a dark way. Once you have a kid, you cannot read a story about kids being harmed without losing your goddamn mind. Like, I can't even watch like a trailer for a movie that has to do with I fucking can't. And when earlier before I had a kid, I'd be like, sure, I'll watch this movie about a kid being abducted. I can't.
Yeah.
And this shit makes me so fucking angry. I want to beat every official who didn't fucking do anything. I want to beat them to death with this pen.
Okay, I think you're angry enough that you could do it with that pen, but you probably should get something larger just to like ease the workload.
Hold on.
Oh, Yard Rock. Beat him to death with Yard Rock 2024.
What a great use of power.
That's
that
true.
would be
for
great Yard Rock.
Great use of power. Totally. Absolutely would. YardRock2024.com.
Okay.
Oh, actually, since you bring it up, I have an update on that.
Woo!
Let's see here. Yard Rock is a big supporter of bricks.
Who did?
And was at the Brick Summit. You can see him there at the bottom with the red circle around him. He was at the Brick Summit with the world leaders. And it makes sense that Iraq would be a supporter of bricks. I mean, it's just common sense.
Oh my God, I can't.
So yet another reason to support YardRock2024.com. Yard Rock supports bricks.
Although, except I don't like that he's standing so close to Modi.
Yeah, no, I think
that I don't love.
I don't. He did refuse to hold hands with them, but
okay.
That's a fair point.
So legit, can we ask the real question as to why there's an actual rock there?
You are not supposed to call out magician's tricks in the middle of the trick.
Wait, you didn't Photoshop that, did you?
Jesus, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, for those of you who are listening to the podcast and simply want this image, want to share this image or whatever, it's on my Twitter, at Lee Camps, the Twitter. But the website is yardrock2024.com. So check it out. because our presidential election is a fucking shit show distraction. And that's why we need a literal rock in the White House. Okay. Yard Rat can stop dancing now.
I was really enjoying it, though. Please, not in my home. Okay. We're okay.
I'm actually real quick. Oh, actually.
Oh, God, is it too early to drink? Okay.
Sorry. Well, we only have 15 minutes left. However, the rest is going to be at rumble.com/Lee Camp. Sorry, we're a little late to getting to the shift. But if you're watching.
Because Eleanor needed a minute to cry.
But if you're watching over there, nothing changes. If you're watching on locals, nothing changes. But for the rest of you, I hope you'll join me at rumble.com/Lee Camp.
And me too.
Yeah, and me too.
Not join me, not just join you, me too.
Yeah, and me too.
Us.
Yeah, me and me too. Yeah. And if you want to support this show, please do so at Lee Camp.